have your cookie on two different plates. Okay, I have the copy of the grievances here.
I understand.
It is the policy of ACCOA that all grievance be held in confidence. So, because of that policy, we can't have public discussion of the grievances. Therefore, I would entertain a motion after we vote on this motion.
We have a motion on the table.
I will take care of that, thank you. After this motion is voted on, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session to cover these grievances, and I'll hand out the copies of that. We have a motion, proper second. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Oh yes.
You have 10 minutes.
Could I be informed of who are the members of the personnel committee? Because what I have is a list of, I actually thought I was on a committee and I had it printed out at our first meeting. I come to find out I'm not even on that committee anymore, and I don't even know. So I would like to know, who is the member of the grievance committee again?
The grievance committee is now, because I had to replace Dolores on
Is that
the
a permanent
committee.
replacement or just temporary?
Temporary.
And so who made the recommendation that we're discussing today? What were the members of that committee?
It was Jacqueline, Will St. John, and Dan O'Connor.
Okay.
And then I was there as ex
Jacqueline and
officio.
Will. Who's a member of the personnel committee?
I don't have the list in front of me of the committees.
Would you like that? Personnel committee, Jacqueline, Director Stan, Director Jacqueline, and Director Will.
Jacqueline and Will? Again?
Jacqueline, Will, and Stan.
And Stan.
And Stan. On the new building committee, who are the members there also?
Are you?
Did you lose your committee members?
Is cross-talking?
Because it's different, I have to know now.
Aren't you
Jacqueline
Yeah,
and
let's,
Will.
hold on. Enough of the crosstalk. No, I'm not, there needs to be no crosstalk here from anybody. How is this related to the motion for me to
The
recuse
motion
myself?
was that you have experienced prejudice, I think, towards Leroy and I. He brought up that you had said things about we were troublemakers, also that you were gonna have to bring a gun. I have an issue with, I think there's prejudice in how you are appointing the committees. I know Director Schlicker has said she would like to have me on the finance committee. There's possibility, there's an opening on the finance committee. We've also heard that you said I wouldn't never put Dr. Turek on the finance committee. So that would be an issue that I would be concerned about as far as prejudice. For instance, the grievance committee, you very easily could have put Leroy on that, but you chose not to. You chose to put Will. Will and Jacqueline together are on 3, possibly 4 committees. I think there's been bias in how you made committees. Not to mention, before I was even put on the board, part of my job is staff development as a director. So I called one of the employees of ACCOA before I was even seated on the board, but I knew that I had been elected. And I said, hey, look, new board member, want to get your feelings on things, want to talk about things. Never called me back. So then after our first meeting, Leroy and I sat down with you, and you said, well, she came and told you that I called her. So why would that be an issue? Part of my issue is staff. My job development is staff development. Why would there be an issue that person would run to you and say, hey, this person is trying to talk to me? And so then we found out that it has been around that the staff is not supposed to talk to Leroy and I. So I'm interested to see these letters that are supposedly from staff, because I have had, because of that environment being tainted, I've had no interaction almost with any staff member because of things that were said before I was even seated on the board. So that would go towards what I think the prejudice that the initial motion went in. It's inconceivable to me that we don't know, our Director Schlicker and I, are we being charged with a code of ethics violation or a code of conduct violation? We don't know, because the grievance committee never invited us to come talk. They made a recommendation to get a third party to come and do an evaluation. How much this is gonna cost, what's the scope of it? Are they gonna investigate the executive director or just us two? How much of that could have been prevented if they had called us in to the nominating, or to the grievance committee ahead of time? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why that would be proceeding in that way and lead to the point where you would have to, again, make the decision to call a special meeting, which is only for things that absolutely have to be done immediately and can't be handled in the next meeting. I don't understand that. I don't understand what the cost of the recommendation they made is. How much is that gonna cost? We're talking about a lawyer. How much is that going to cost? How much of this could have been prevented if we just were able to talk to the grievance committee beforehand? At that point in time, Director Schlicker, unless all the grievances that I guess we've yet to see involved both her and I at the same time, she should have been able to go back on the grievance committee and handle things when we were dealing with me. It should have been two separate issues, unless all grievances have to do with us together. And when it comes down to grievances, and I have a stack that could choke a horse of grievances against the executive director. So why did this procedure ever get put forth to investigate the executive director? Why did the grievance committee take this extraordinary step without even involving Director Schlicker and I to make a recommendation for a third party to come and do this? Doesn't make sense to me. So I'll finish up right there, and then I'll speak later. Thank you.
Can I speak to that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
I will just speak to some of that, and the main reason is because of your stack of grievances, as well as a stack of other grievances. There is obviously a huge division in the board. It is obvious. There is way too much emotion. Anybody who would have been put on the grievance committee would have had a complaint about them by one side or the other. It is for that reason, and that reason alone, that we want to take it to somebody who has absolutely no skin in the game, has absolutely no prior judgment of who you are, who anybody else is. That is why we wanted to do that, because then it takes all of the emotion, all of the preconceived notions, everything out of the game, out of the equation. Now, honestly, I was deferring to people who had been with longer. So we had the discussion. I did not know if we were supposed to invite you guys, if that was the way that it was supposed to be. I greatly apologize. I'm still new to the board as well. However, I can see very clearly the discontent, the disconnect, and the division. And I know from personal experience that having any type of discussion, whatever I would have decided or whatever I would have recommended would have been fought. Whatever Will would have recommended would have been fought. Whatever Dan would have recommended would have been fought, because there are preconceived notions and assumptions. We decided to take all of that out of the equation. We had the discussion, we spoke to this company, they helped with a very big issue a couple years ago, and they are neutral. They would come in, do interviews, speak to everybody, and we would know more about it, except for that nobody wanted to move forward with that motion. So that was the whole reason, that was the whole point, is to remove all of the emotion. However, if you want emotion, we can definitely re-meet and we can emote it out. That is all my thank you.
You're welcome.
I still, apparently excuse
Some
me.
water.
Apparently, no, thank you. Apparently the grievance committee got a letter several letters, whatever. I have yet to see them. So, if they got a letter, they're looking at this point of view. Why wasn't I informed? Why wasn't I given the letters? Why wasn't I told about any of this ahead of time?
Can I speak to
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
First of all, the grievance committee doesn't rehash what's on the grievances. They receive them, they make a decision about them. The closed session was going to discuss in private with whoever the grievances were against, let them and give them a copy of said grievances. And then, well, this is not a closed session.
That's okay, I still wanna see them.
That's fine, but I'm telling you why you didn't receive it yet. Because all they do, their function isn't to make a grievance or fix a grievance or whatever. Their function is to receive the grievance and deal with it. Whether it's having the person who has the grievance eventually come in and discuss it with them, one at a time, not like an army, but one at a time, or whatever. But the grievance committee felt that possibly because there has been so much rancor, that we might need someone else. I think that's real straightforward and simple.
Well, if there is a grievance against me, shouldn't I be shown the grievance? I mean, does it have to be all one-sided? Are you trying to hide something from me? Are you trying to tell me that I did something wrong, but yet you're not telling me what it was?
We
If there's two
received-
sides to every story. So if this person's got a grievance against me,
But we're having crosstalk again.
well, I would like, my final thought, not final thought, but I wanna see those letters.
Okay.
And I wanna see them before we proceed.
Mr. President, is this discussion still about the motion that I made?
Yeah,
Apparently.
believe it or not.
I'll speak one last time, unless nobody else.
And are you done?
Well, I wasn't done, but I can be done.
Well, if you're not done, continue. I mean, you've got 8 minutes left.
The whole point is you will receive the letters.
When?
But the whole,
No crosstalk.
you need to not keep
Okay.
interrupting
Excuse me.
because it's really, first of all, it's very unprofessional.
All right.
We seem to have a lot of that going on, so that's no big deal. But the bottom line is, the grievance committee received the grievances. They don't agree with the grievances or disagree. It's not about you having a second opinion or whatever. We receive a grievance. That's sort of like breaking an arm. We don't get to decide whether or not it's really broken. It's broken. And that's what a grievance is. And the grievance committee looks at it, examines it, and decides how to proceed from there, period. It's not, you can't then go to the person who created the grievance and start questioning them and try and make them feel like they have to change their mind. I mean, you understand how that works. It just is not the way it goes. And I think that we keep forgetting that. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna side with them because that isn't true. Well, it may or may not be true, Dolores. It doesn't matter to us. What matters is somebody brought a grievance. Therefore, you'll get your chance to air your grievance, how you feel about the grievance, but you don't get to decide that their grievance was wrong. Because you get to say that didn't happen, plain and simple. And I give up over the rest of mine so we can do this motion.
Okay.
If this is still about my motion, I would also like to add about prejudice, that from the day Director Turek and myself were seated on the board, we have not been allowed to put one single item on the agenda. Now, according to Robert's rules that we're supposed to be going by, the president who makes the agenda is supposed to ask all the members if they have anything to go on the agenda. That has not happened a single time. I yield back.
I ask at the beginning of every meeting, does anyone have any additions or deletions from the agenda? I ask that question every meeting. It's not my fault if you don't listen.
You have failed to ask while you are, before you make the agenda. And we have never been allowed one single item to be placed on the agenda. My point.
My answer is simple, that every item so far that I have seen to be added to the agenda is more appropriate to go to committee, not to make a 4-hour board meeting. Every question that I have, or every agenda item I have seen has been better in either the building committee or the finance committee or the personnel committee or wherever. And that's the way boards are supposed to work. Committees are supposed to do most of the legwork, then it's brought, reported, and voted on.
I'd like to call for a vote on the motion.
Okay? We have a, yes,
I'll speak also, but the director, I wanted to speak also.
I just want everyone to be safe. The weather's not very great, and we're getting vastly close to, this is just being at an impasse. So I will not speak, because we don't need a second round. I believe the director requested a call for the motion.
I think you had said we'd have a second round. but-
I did say, but then the person that made the motion just called for a vote. Is that okay with everybody, or do we want more discussion? Because like Executive Director Lenny said, it's getting bad out there. I mean, it's bad enough to call school, it's bad enough we shouldn't be sitting here. You said one round is enough, you said?
Vote is good.
Okay, so, just bring everyone up. The vote, since it's been a while now, the motion that Director Perrin made was that the board recuse me from this agenda item, from this meeting because of this agenda item.
This meeting and all meetings concerning Director Turek.
Well, that would be,
That's all the meetings.
that's all the meetings.
That doesn't work.
All meetings aren't concerning Dr. Turek,
Okay, so any,
such as grievance
Such as
committees
grievance,
or
okay.
whatever.
okay, that okay, that's fine.
That's very broad. It needs to be narrowed down.
Okay. From this meeting and from the grievance committees, where Dr. Turek
Is the subject,
is the subject.
okay. Do you want to include you in that too, where you are subject? I've never seen a grievance against you, but,
Now, I'll bring up a motion at that time if it happens.
all right. So, we've been clarified on the motion. You agree with that? Okay. We better do a roll call on
You
this one.
seconded, right?
Yeah, Director Turner seconded. If you would do a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Rollins.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Okay, Leroy.
Yes.
Obviously, yes. Dr. Turek.
Yes.
Dolores. Yes. So, Jack. I'm not. Abstain, okay. Here we go. Okay.
How about you,
So
Pam?
get to recuse yourself.
I will recuse myself.
What was Pam's vote?
Pam, what was your vote?
My vote is no. I think it's foolishness, quite frankly, I don't,
No, just curious.
and I can go into mine, but that's all right.
All right, I will. And it's good timing since it's
You can go.
lunchtime and I haven't eaten yet and I'm diabetic, so.
Thank you. Who's gonna do this?
Vice President is not here to take over the gavel. So
Secretary.
It would be the secretary.
Me, okay, meeting adjourned. No,
Give me a
I
minute.
will
just
deal. I
collect
get
my
very
stuff.
handy with the gavel, so you better know. Just giving you fair warning. Okay, we will go forward. Yes. Okay, you finished. Thank you. See you later.
That's the information in case we get to that.
Okay, read it after. I don't think we're getting there. Okay, so, thank you, Mike. Okay, we are now back to the point of, whether or not we want to motion for a closed session, to discuss matters of the internal grievance. Do I hear a motion to close the session to, decide whether or not we wanna hear this internal grievance? No? Okay, motion for an open session.
I personally can say, since this concerns me, I want it all in an open session. I would make a motion to discuss if we're having any further discussion on any grievance matter, whether it's a code of ethics violation or code of conduct, I would prefer that to be an open session.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we make a motion to return this meeting to an open session.
Whatever.
No.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
You didn't.
The rest of the motion would-
The point of order is that there was no point to go into close, so therefore you don't need a motion to go into open. Okay, so, but the agenda item,
Oh, okay, so
Madam
the,
Chairman, is that it violates the policies and procedures that the grievancers have the right to confidentiality. So, you know, that needs to be considered.
okay, right, and that is true, if you guys probably heard the executive director. But the bottom line is, if we have an open session for these grievances, then the people that brought the grievances also get a right to speak about whether or not they want an open session. It's not just those that have received a grievance against them, but it's also those, and I don't know how many it is,
No.
because I've never seen it.
No,
but
it's
lots
not,
of
no.
grievances.
So I would take a motion to table this for right now and allow both the Director Schlicker and myself to actually meet with the grievance committee, which we were not afforded that right earlier. Meet with the grievance committee and see if we can get rid of some of the misunderstandings that might, if we can clear that up, we wouldn't have to get a third party to do things. I would say table it, refer it back to the grievance committee. Director Schlicker and I would be able to address that grievance committee, whether those individuals are there present or not is irrelevant to me. I want at least the chance to talk to the grievance committee. So I would make that motion to table this, send it back to the grievance committee, at which time they will invite both of us to talk.
Anyone second the motion?
I'll support.
Okay. Let's have a vote on that. Who voted?
Discussion.
You're missing a member.
Yeah, you can.
You wandered off.
I have a question though. Where is these letters? I want them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've only
Yeah.
asked about 6 or 7 times already.
Right. Give them to her.
I can answer that. We've already discussed it, that it's policy and procedure that these are private and confidential.
No, they are not. If they're against me,
Once we
I
give
need
them
to
to
see
you
them.
at the grievance committee, then they will be, I don't know what the policy and procedure is after that, but at this current time, according to ACCOA's policies and procedures, which we have to be maintained by, we cannot provide those to you in an open meeting per the policy and procedure.
I want to see that policy and procedure.
Question,
Why aren't they asking for it?
Yes.
question, if, according to the bylaws and such, if there's an accusation made against a board member, do they have the right to hire an attorney and the, ACCOA is gonna pay for it? So they can be instructed on how to proceed?
I would have no idea, but I don't think so. Because we have not brought our attorney in except to make sure that we're doing things right. At this time, certainly, you know. Roland, we have on the table a motion to set aside the rest of this meeting, and send it back to the grievance committee for discussion with the people who are involved in the grievances. And it has been seconded,
Can I finish my question?
by all means.
Okay.
Make
Then
it
if,
a question, not a big, onto,
um,
I gave you the answer.
well.
I'm
wasn't-
different, I am different.
All right. So then if some people, somebody, somewhere on this board can go to the attorney and ask questions, get clarifications, then can a board member who's been accused of something go to that same attorney and get clarifications and ask questions?
Yes.
I would think so.
Okay, so, Director Turek and Schlicker then should be given the, contact information of our attorney so they can discuss with the attorney.
You can't discuss it, you can ask what direction should you take?
I would think the grievance committee, when they invite us in.
We'll
that
talk
could
about
be
that.
part of the discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely, thank you. So, do we have a vote on this meeting being tabled until, and go, and sent back to the grievance committee for discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's what's happening, good deal. So, public comment.
I have a question first, please. If, until this is resolved,
Yeah,
let's say I have to come in Monday morning and sign checks. And Lenny has directed the in-home service coordinator that she doesn't have to talk to me. So if Lenny's not here and I have a question on a check, who do I go to?
you can speak to Lenny about it.
If
The
Lenny's
other
not
thing,
here,
can I ask you this, are you the only one that can sign checks? If you feel like that, couldn't Rollins step in?
well, Robin could, but what difference does it make? If there's a check,
It'd
That-
be the same way with me.
if there's a check that we question, if I'm questioning a check, what difference does it make whether I'm asking a question or whether Roland is asking a question? Because Roland, even if I got a question on milk mileage, Roland can't answer it. If I go to Tony or not Tony, but Patty down there now and ask a question, she answers me. She has no problem answering me. But he has instructed the in-home service coordinator that's in charge of the mileage, that she don't have to talk to me.
I do believe as executive director, he has the right to do that.
Who do I go to? Is my
No.
question.
Let's stop that, because no one has instructed anyone not to talk to you.
Oh, really?
They answer your questions, much like we've answered your question about the letters, and it's continually 6 and 7 different times, and they've answered. And to the point to when they say, I don't have any more answers for you, go see the executive director. So that is the thing. Again, I heard that you brought up that you followed, that you clocked the mileage that one of our workers. We gave you the answer. We told you that it was a sub, but you got in the car anyway and you drove it.
You told
But,
us to.
no, I said if
You
you.
handed us
I-
a map.
I handed you a map just to validate, so that you would have concrete evidence
Okay,
that you were looking for. This is the question, so I'm telling you, we have no problems with you asking questions within the function and scope
Okay.
of your position.
Then who do I go to then? Answer that question. That's what I
Tom,
need to
it's
know.
easy.
Who do I go
Dolores.
to if Lenny's not here?
Just call me, you have my number, you have my cell phone number.
okay, enough. We now have public comments, that should be great. Yes, your name please.
Hi, I'm Ty Damon. I live in Harrisville. I'm a senior. I'll go right on the record. I love the new concept and I hope it happens. I know there's a lot of things that have to be answered. 501c3, do we have enough money? Sewers, police and fire. Everyone on this board has fiduciary responsibility to answer all those questions and run those down. So I just implore people, seek answers, run them down. That's why I'm here. I do have to give an observation. And I have served on multiple not-for-profit boards. You guys need serious help with a parliamentarian. A parliamentarian doesn't have to be a board member, it can be anybody, it can be someone in the community that's willing to be here for free. They sit in the back and they just whisper in a chair's ear, remember 3 things ago, we're supposed to be discussing that motion. Get things back on track. They're just the person who understands Robert's Rules of Order better than the average person, keeps things on track. They don't have a dog in the fight. It's very helpful. So that would help.
What's your name again?
Ty Damon.
I wrote it down.
Okay.
Secondly, I'm really frankly embarrassed of the decorum of the board. You know, people back here, they have their niffs and their gnaws, and pretty much we all kept our mouths shut and did a good job. But the crosstalk, the disparaging remarks, the innuendos among, I'm shocked. I can agree, I can sit on a board and disagree with somebody 100%, and no matter what they say, I just go, yep. When it's my turn to talk, I'll talk. But everyone's in debates, it's wrong. So I just, I hope for the sake of the group, everybody tries to work together a little bit more efficiently. Lastly, thank you. I haven't, devoted the time you have to make this all happen. Thank you. And thanks to everybody here for caring and being here. That's it.
Gary Van Mitchell Township. Just a quick observation. I've noticed that there was an abstention to the last vote. Vice Chairman Johnson called me because he had noticed that had taken place in other meetings as well. According to the county rules, when you guys sit at that table, you have to vote either yes or no. You are to get prior board approval before you and ask to be abstained from a vote. You just cannot abstain from a vote. Your job as board members is to vote yes or no on the issues at hand.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Jim Sawinski. Listening to everybody, it's almost political. And everything's against the 2 new people because they're doing their jobs, they're investigating what's going on.
Amen.
I say 1, 2, 3, 4 people remind me of the January 6th commission. You're guilty no matter what. In everything you do, the meeting you started, the way it was set up wasn't normal. It was set up a certain way. It's like this is set up. He talks about you're having an independent company come in. Is it part of this whole thing, or is it an independent party? It has nothing to do with it. Because if it's part of this organization, then it's going to be biased. Because the way you people have set this up, everything is against these people. These people are hard workers. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Question. And when you can't question something, this is what you get, a nightmare. And from what I understand, each person that went to Lenny with a complaint, was it individually one by one, or did he go to them and ask them all their complaints? How can someone get so many complaints by asking one question about one route? It's a setup. This is like January 6th. You're guilty. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
I will respond to that. The company that, I think its name is Recon, has absolutely nothing to do with Alcona County, period. They are not from Alcona.
Was it a joint decision, or was it your
The
decision?
grievance committee brought up someone that they knew of that would handle that.
Here again, though, is someone they knew. This is the problem. It's bias.
What do we do? Look in the phone book?
Look in the phone book and look. Arbitration is what it's called.
Okay.
Let's arbitrate this particular person.
I responded to you. I didn't expect to. We don't need to have a.
Okay.
Yep.
Judy Hurstville. Couple of things. First of all, the meeting was not posted on the doors at all. That's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. There's numerous violations. Somebody should probably start contacting the law about that. Second, when a grievance is against somebody, they are to receive the grievance. They need to get that copy of that complaint 5 days, I think it's 5 days before a meeting on it. We're in a meeting, they still don't have it. It could have been discussed, that they could have been handed those. You don't have to say the names of who wrote the letter. That doesn't have to come up in the public meeting, but they have a right to know.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Dan.
I would just like to say from this meeting on, and when they come in, I would really truly hope that there's not a hostile situation that they're walking into. Y'all are here talking about building bridges and working together and all this, but we're hearing and seeing that it isn't really like that. And you think a lot of stuff's been done behind the public's not supposed to know about. I heard Mike say that a couple of times. Well, I don't know how the public found out about that. Well, people talk. So we all know that this environment is a little hostile. Even yourself, you said that. I expect that each and every person here from this day and this moment forward treats them with the respect that they would like to receive. Because it's kind of stacked against them. And I don't care if it would be Jacqueline or Stan or Leroy or Will St. John that isn't here that really could have zoomed in for this meeting, actually, being the vice president. But you all better step up. The reason why you're getting all these questions is because things aren't right. They don't add up. And the people that are asking the questions to see that they do add up are getting attacked instead of answered. And we're supposed to be working for the good of the community, the good of the seniors, the good of everything, right? Well, you're not showing it. You're talking it, but you're not walking it. So that's my wish for you all.
Hi, again, I'm Betsy Lendorf, I live in Hubbard Lake. And I'm going to ask you to continue this meeting, even though you don't want to. I'm going to bring up something very important. I spoke to Lenny Avery, and one of the issues in this situation has been racism.
Oh, come on, you've got to be kidding.
Go sit down. Lenny did Lenny
Oh,
did
my
not
gosh.
respond. Lenny did not respond. Terry is here.
What?
You came to visit my house. I know we worked together with the Sheriff's Department on a very sensitive area as volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some of the comments that Terry said.
It's hearsay.
Amen. Sir, I spoke to Terry.
We're not
Please,
here.
and please
for
don't
that.
interrupt.
This is a regular meeting.
You need to put a stop to this immediately.
Amen.
You need to put a stop to this immediately.
Stop.
That's baloney.
That has nothing to do with why we're here today.
Amen.
Put a stop to it.
Addressing the board, you had your 2 minutes.
Oh, come on.
She does- that
Okay,
is
well,
not- that
I'm gonna
has
say
nothing
right
to do
now,
with why we're here today.
I was very careful and clear that this was not about any type of racism. It was about the type of job he is doing. And shame on you, Betsy, for putting words in my mouth that I did not say.
Hey, we're not going to argue.
Sit down.
Then put an end to it and make her sit down.
I'm going to
Her 2 minutes is not up because you
Well, then
all
she
are-
needs
It most certainly is. She's bringing racism where it doesn't belong.
Guys, just stop. She has 2 minutes. We give you
You
the
don't get to
opportunity.
yell at her for 2 minutes. She gets to speak.
I'll tell you what. You wanna raise hell on that, go ahead. There's phones here. I'll call the damn sheriff and they'll come and move you all out. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. And I don't give a damn how many people are here. I'll get that straight.
You got 1
May
minute.
I continue? Terry said to me, if Lenny wants to be a community activist like Obama, he should do it downstate. Terry said that deputies are afraid of the housing because of Terry, I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
Because I'm supporting the center because deputies, there's not enough deputies here to patrol the housing, okay? I'm so sorry to mention this, but I have said it in some letters, I've talked to people about this. You've delayed another meeting for 2 hours. And I would like people in the audience to respond to my charge, if they would, and say why this isn't racist. Thank you, I appreciate your time, thank you.
I'll respond to you if you look at me.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
You look at us.
I'll look at all of you. I am a Christian. I am in no way, shape, or form racist. No part of me. I have talked to Randy Avery. I have told him I'm not against it. Matter of fact, I know you all have a signed contract and you could build this building today and I would stand behind it. You have $12.5 million to do that. What's going on here is not right. How you've handled this is not right. This is a matter that they should be able to go to the grievance board with. I have been on a board of directors and have handled more money than everybody in this building in that corporation. You are an embarrassment to this society for doing it this way. Get it together, do what you've been called to do, and let these people get on board with that. The fight is that we have the money. We have the contract. Let's build what we can build. He's got a plan to do it. And he's not been given the opportunity to do it because we're going after two people that are certainly can serve on this board. I am not a racist, and I object to that, and I am sorry that it even came out of her mouth, and I would suppose a lot of other people would say that.
Thank you. Jerry.
Terry Goldstrom. Yes, I did go to her house. Yes, I did say that if Lenny wants to be a community builder, then he should, and let's put it in context, Miss Journalist, that he should get on NEMSCA or HUD to build the appropriate housing. We are building a senior center here. We are not building housing for everybody else. There is a group of people that does that. That it is in no way racist. I voted for Obama. So you're gonna call me a racist? Really? So no, that doesn't fly here. And I really resent the fact that you would take my comment out of context. But I guess that's the journalism in you coming out. No other question.
Okay. Oh, Rosie.
I'd like to make a comment about Mr. Avery's comments before about being respectful. And I think that we have several letters from a lot of previous employees about the hostile environment here, and that some of those letters were written by people that had gone to the grievance committee, and they were basically like our personnel committee, excuse me, and they were like spoken to privately, and nothing happened with that. And within a week later, those 4 people were gone.
Yep. Thank you. Anyone else want to have anything to say?
Right here.
Oh.
I do. That's okay. Lisa Turek, Harrisville Township. In my business, pardon me, there are people that come in and talk about what's going on here, and ex-employees that have been in our office, and there have been a lot of grievances in the past that have never actually made it to a grievance committee here at the ACCOA. So many years, for the past few years, we know people that have made grievances, and nothing like this ever happened. There was never any committee, there was never any board meeting or a special meeting for any of these people who had grievances. So I find it very interesting that all of a sudden, if there's a grievance against 2 board members, that there's a special meeting called and the board shows up. Yet for all the employees that had grievances prior, and they've spoken to me directly when they've been in my office, so I haven't sought them out or anything, they weren't afforded the same process, I guess, when they had grievances here at the ACCOA. Secondly, I would also comment on Mr. Avery's comments about building bridges and respect, because when I came in here on September 29th, excuse me, and dealt with Mr. Avery on an issue, I ended up having to make a grievance to the USDA because I was not treated with respect. I was not treated as I was building a bridge as a senior with the person who's the executive director here. So I also agree with Pam McKinnon when he says, you know, he might be able to talk a really good story, but he isn't actually walking the walk of what he says, because I experienced it directly. I'm not speaking for anybody else but myself when I say that what he says is different than how he acts toward people. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, first of all, when you write a check, you gotta know where the money's going. And Dolores had every reason to ask whoever the check is going to or what it's for, the reasons why. She needs to get all the reasons why. She's doing her job. And people here don't know that in the last 3 years, 17 people have quit working here. This last year, 5 people have quit. We need to know what's going on here, why people are quitting. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil.
Phil Potter, Harrisville. In the last, since 2013, this used to be a community senior citizen building that used to rent the halls. The money used to help for meals, help maintain. Then 2016, it's kind of started dwindling down, and now I'm not sure if those treadmills and all those weight machines bring in the income that a rented hall would for the community. And since 2020, prior to that, how many employees quit their job at ACCOA, which is a lot of volunteer time? I mean, it's not just a 7 to 5 job or 7 to 4 job. It is throughout the year, 24 hours, because people need help. Now that I hear there's 17 employees so far have quit or been terminated, I'm not sure exactly what. How many of those employees have been paid for a lawsuit by this board, which is my taxpayer money? My taxpayer money goes to this senior center. How many employees that have quit have filed a lawsuit and been settled out of court? Can I get an answer to that, or?
2.
I believe there's been a couple that have been.
That really has nothing.
Well, it does
Comment.
Because somebody said they wanted to.
It's a
keep the bridge.
comment.
Pardon me?
Okay.
Pardon me, you got something to say to me?
No.
Guys, no, we're not gonna.
Okay,
we're not
okay,
gonna-
well, he's sitting here,
I don't care.
he's sitting here
absolutely not.
barking, so
We need to have some decorum.
I'm trying until he starts
But
barking.
don't interact, just interact with the board. You can.
I
you're
am
on your
interacting with the
platform.
board.
Focus on me.
I am. No, it ain't about me. Sir, whoa, time out.
Point of
This
order.
is not about you
I'm
in
just
no
saying, focus
manner.
on the board.
Okay, I will deal with the board. I'm dealing with the board. I'm just curious, out of the 17, you know, has there been lawsuits filed? And have they been settled out of court with my taxpayer money? That's what this board needs to open up to. And if she has to make a check, or the county commissioners have to make a check, that could go for Meals on Wheels, that could go for a lot of things. But if we're losing so many employees, where's the common denominator that's causing
Okay, your time's
the issues?
up.
Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
I'd like to defer my time 2 minutes to my husband.
Okay.
First, I want to apologize for my outburst, but I'd ask you to forgive me.
Amen.
But I will not stand for someone calling me a racist. Just make that known. And this was a community center. My grandkids came and shot archery in here. They had a big meal at the end. I look forward to the day when I turn old enough to come here and play cards, to come here and meet with people my age, and to do activities with them. So this has always been a community center, as well as a senior center. And as Phil said, there were lots of things that happened here. And I would like to see that continue. And so my comment from before stands. You have money. You have a signed contract. Why don't we get busy and do that so that the community and the seniors can have a place to go? I know some may disagree with me on that, but I believe that it's what this community needs to come together. And if we're going to build bridges amongst people, because listen, there's one race biblically, and you know this too, Mr. Avery, as a pastor, it's the human race. There's several cultures, and we culturally should be able to get along and work together to get these things done. I would like to see those bridges built, but it's going to take us all to do that without this infighting. And to call someone a racist is no way to start a bridge build, young lady. You've disrespected me personally. I am a member of college.
Thank you.
What'd you just say?
I said it's
Guys,
racist.
stop. This is unacceptable behavior, okay? None of you should even
Okay.
speak.
Mr. President, you need to stop. You need to stop. It's the president's call.
Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
This is absolutely ridiculous. And I'll tell you, I'm on the verge of going and calling the cops now. One person gets done talking, another one. What are you doing? Wasting time when you're supposed to be out there on your way home so that you don't have go into the ditch or in an accident.
Who seconds the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
I have a
All in
question.
favor? All in favor?
I didn't hear the motion.
He made a motion that we adjourn. Roland did. Leroy seconded said motion. All in favor?
Leroy seconded.
Yeah, you want it? Yep.
I have a question.
They need to close.
Is there discussion after the motion?
No.
Yes.
We need to have a discussion. I have a question, a very important question. Am I allowed to speak?
Go ahead, you're gonna speak anyway, so go ahead.
I am requesting a letter as stating why I cannot get the letters that was supposedly written, grievance letters written against me.
Okay.
I want a letter stating why the board or the grievance committee will not give me those letters.
Okay, we will get you one.
I want it before I leave this building.
Okay. That probably won't happen because that's gonna be under my deal, not mine. I'm just the secretary, I'm stuck here, so, sorry.
Could I recommend that there is a policy that's been referred to, that somebody can make a copy of that page that has said.
That we could do. Thank you, Bob. Yeah,
Pam,
yeah.
excuse me, but before you can entertain that motion, you need to close the public comment.
Yeah, okay. Public comment is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.